When people think about the Civil War, they rarely think or know there were battles and skirmishes in Indian Territory, but there were. Recently, I traveled to Yale, Oklahoma to watch their living history reenactment of the Battle of Round Mountain, which took place nearby. Hi, I'm Laura, aka Quirky Driven Life. I'm happy you found my channel. Hi if you're new here, or welcome back if you've visited with me before. I like to wander, I like quirky things, I love history, food, and haunted places. This episode will take us to Payne County, Oklahoma. When I say I went to Yale, I don't mean an Ivy League university. Ha! Sit back, relax, and come along with me. Stay tuned for some bonus content at the end of the video. Following the outbreak of hostilities between the United States and the Confederate States of America, the inhabitants of Indian Territory had to decide which side they would support in the war. Although the majority allied themselves with the Confederacy, many professed their allegiance to the Union. One such group was a band of Upper Creek Indians, directly led by Opatolo. I'm going to call him O, so I will not mispronounce his name. I mean no disrespect. O organized his followers, preparing them to escape to Kansas. In addition to Creek supporters, O gathered Unionists from other tribes of Comanche, Delaware, Kickapoo, Seminole, Wichita, and Shawnee. African-American slaves and freedmen also joined in hopes to relocating to the north. Nearly 1,700 men, women, and children traveled in wagons, on horseback, and by foot, carrying as many of their possessions as possible. The Union side comprised mainly of Loyalists, Native American, and pro-Union forces under the command of Colonel James McIntosh. On the opposing side were Confederate troops led by Colonel Douglas H. Cooper, who aimed to maintain control over Indian Territory and prevent it from falling into Union hands. Colonel Douglas H. Cooper, whose Confederate command of approximately 1,300 troops consisted of Texas Cavalry, Choctaw and Chickasaw Mounted Riflemen, a Creek Regiment, and Seminole warriors. Initial contact occurred on November 19, 1861, which became the first battle engagement in Indian Territory during the Civil War, setting the stage for subsequent conflicts in the region. Control of this territory was vital due to its strategic position linking Confederate forces in Texas with states in the east. Cooper's men arrived around 4 p.m. The charging cavalry discovered that O's followers had recently abandoned their camp. The Confederates located and followed stragglers. The 4th Texas Infantry attacked O's warriors on the tree line at the foot of the Round Mountains. The Federal response chased the Confederate back to Cooper's main line where the fighting began. The battle raged on for several hours with both sides trading volleys and maneuvering through the challenging landscape. O's men set fire to the prairie grass as a diversion tactic so they could retreat. Darkness prevented Cooper's counterattack until the following morning. Cooper advanced on O's new camp, but found the Union forces had fled. Ultimately, the Battle of Round Mountain ended inconclusively with both sides claiming a degree of success. Union forces claimed it was their victory because they prevented Confederate advancement. However, the Confederates chose not to follow so they could regroup and resupply. The Confederates captured abandoned supplies such as O's carriage, a dozen wagons, food, cattle, and horses. Exact casualty numbers are unknown. Cooper claimed to have killed more than 100 Unionists while only losing a handful of his own men. The engagement did little to shift the overall balance of power in the region, but to me it sounds like the Confederates had the upper hand and won this battle, but that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below if you would like a video in the future on other battles that occurred in Indian Territory, or if this would be something you would be interested in. I think it's important to attend history events to make sure storytelling continues to be passed on to the next generation, and most importantly, to show appreciation for the participants in these events. These reenactments are performed by volunteers who work hard to provide an entertaining, accurate show for spectators. These people spend a lot of their own time, energy, and money to keep history alive. Plus, it was very cold the night before I attended, and these group members slept in their period-appropriate tents, camping out just as the soldiers did in the same manner 163 years prior. Even if you don't like the historical aspect of it all, there was also shopping and snacks. If I had a need for it, this beautiful pitcher and basin would have come home with me, but it did not. Now I just think of it fondly and hope it found a good home. Thanks for watching. Just kidding, here's some bonus content. American jazz trumpeter and vocalist Chet Baker was born in Yale, Oklahoma on December 23, 1929.
Saw a historical marker sign this way. I have no idea where it's at. Maybe I'll find it. I'll turn around in a few miles if I haven't. Well, now I gotta make another turn. This better be good. One time I stopped at one and it was just saying where fracking started. I was very disappointed. The road it told me to turn down. What the heck? If you ever like off-roading, ride with me.
If you ever wonder who stops at historical markers, it is me. I am that girl. It is with no exception on this day. I had noticed a sign while driving into Yale and knew I had to follow it before I headed home. I found the Battle of Round Mountain marker, which states, here between the landmark known as Red Mountains to the south and a camp on Salt Creek 3 miles to the northwest was fought the first battle of the Civil War in Oklahoma. When the civilized tribes of the Indian Territory joined the Confederacy, a numerous group of full-blood Creeks under our friend O remained loyal to the Union with wagons containing their families, household goods, and driving their herds of cattle and horses. They circled to the west and north of their settlements, hoping to effect a junction with a similar element among the Cherokees. They were pursued by the Confederate commander Colonel Douglas H. Cooper of Mississippi with a contingent Texas cavalry, 6 companies of Choctaw and Chickasaw mounted rifles, and Creek and Seminole under native officers. He overtook them on November 19, 1861, and the battle was fought that afternoon and evening. During the night, O withdrew toward a place in the Cherokee Nation northeast of Tulsa. After a second and third battle in the vicinity of the Union Indians, were completely routed and fled to Kansas, where they remained as refugees until they were able to enlist in the Union Army and Indian Expedition to recover the Indian Territory. Sponsored by the Payne County Historical Society, December 1955. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you've ever been to a Civil War reenactment, and what was your favorite. Bye for now.